Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time.
Whoa, that was a technical mishap. Let's start that over again. What's going on already? It's too early. The podcast just started. Hold on a second.
Enough is enough! I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane!
You know, it's if there's something I can share with the listening audience, it's this. Anyone that knows me knows that the name Moonraker is not by chance. I grew up watching 007 films. Not to say the Moonraker was my favorite, but it had to do with space. And nothing like some dude that's almost 7 foot tall with shiny teeth just coming after you. I mean, what else could I say? That kind of speaks for itself. The other thing is that one of the most unappreciated actors today is Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, no one can say that word or those words with such poetic license. Like, it just rolls. It rolls off his tongue so naturally. It feels like it's a Shakespearean play when he says it. It's not even shocking. Like, I've seen him, TMZ, catching up with Samuel L. Jackson while he's getting on a cab, and he'll drop the F-bomb, a couple of mother effers, and it's like, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Like the TMZ reporter looks like he's blessed. How crazy is that? That is just bananas. That's the way I hope you guys feel about me. Like, if I drop an F-bomb or a couple of mother effers and shit like that, hey, you know, take it for what it's worth. You should appreciate that I am comfortable enough on this podcast to drop the shit as I feel like doing it. Kind of like Samuel L. Jackson, right? An unappreciated podcaster is what I am. This is UFO Buster Radio. I am Manny Moonraker, episode number 297. It's Saturday, November the 16th here in San Antonio, Texas. And I got a couple of news articles for you guys. Quick shout out to Mr. DeCaro. He says on YouTube he appreciates the longer episodes. And actually, here's one thing about him, is that he's always giving me a thumbs up or a thank you for each episode. And really, it's the other way around. It's I thank you and everyone else that spends time listening. I really do. You guys might not see that or hear that. There really is no other way for me to show it because it's an audio program. But it's a true story. There's no rubber dicking about that at all. So, yeah, thank you. The two articles for today, one of them has to do with SpaceX. Now, I talked about this earlier in the week, right? Well, the problem with SpaceX, because astronomers were all up in arms, like really, like their pencil protectors, or they're not pencil protectors, they're pocket protectors. They basically just took them off and threw them over some lone bridge somewhere, thinking about jumping as well, because SpaceX has totally fucked up their ability to look at stars. But the one thing that I alluded to was the fact that there's something else happening with those bright-ass fucking satellites. But there is something special that I found. I don't know how many of you guys have found it. I don't know how many of you guys in Japan get it, or Czechoslovakia, or the Czech Republic. How many of you guys in South Africa, Chile, Brazil, anywhere other than maybe the UK, Australia, Canada, and the US? Anyone outside of those general areas? I don't know how much of this UFO nonsense you get. New Zealand, for one, because New Zealand is the topic of that specific situation. Maybe in, in New Zealand, they don't get this. And I do have New Zealand listeners. I see you. I hear you. Maybe you guys down there, because you're like down under. Maybe you guys down under squared. Maybe you don't get all this crazy news about space and UFOs because it's too fucking far away. I don't even know the folks that listen in South Africa if they get that shit. But we're going to talk about the impact of putting shit in orbit and not having the foresight of, thinking ahead. Trying to figure out what the impact is. Yeah. Now, there is one thing. There was a song I played, I think it was yesterday, called Juggernaut. What an amazing song. I am so worked up by that song. It's amazing. So, we're going to play that at the end of the podcast. You should listen to it. If you missed it yesterday, listen to Juggernaut today. I mean, really, it makes you feel like a fucking superhero. It starts a little slow, but it's balls to the walls after that. We're going to play a song right now because I've already thanked you for listening. So I'm going to give you something to listen to. That's just the way it goes. And then we'll jump into the first news article because that's what I do. So let me just, I'm just going to pick one. Let's go with Black Heart because it's kind of late.
what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time.
Yeah, say what? I dare you. I dare you. Say what? One more time. That's all I got to say. Say it. Say it. I dare you. Today's news is a hailing from New Zealand. And all in part, and special thanks to Elon Musk for getting those Starlinks up and running so that the folks in New Zealand could have a interesting time while looking up to the fucking sky. So no, they're not UFOs. A SpaceX broadband satellite cluster to be visible over New Zealand. This is being reported by TVNZ. I don't know what the hell a TV stands for. Television New Zealand, I guess? Probably. I don't know. I'm not in New Zealand, but you guys who are listening, let me know. What is TVNZ? It turns out that we had the complaints coming from astronomers from around the world. And they're complaining, right? They're saying, Elon, Musky babe, motherfucker. Actually, if I was Samuel L. Jackson talking to Elon, motherfucker Elon, yeah, your damn satellites are too motherfucking bright. And so we had that article earlier in the week, which basically Elon Musk and SpaceX said, hey, slow down, cowboys. Slow your roll. Get back in line. Astronomers, we hear you. Instead of having a bunch of bright-ass fucking satellites, because we're bringing broadband to the world, we'll paint them black. That's what they said. But it's funny because the whole black thing, painted in black, actually, that conversation looked like it happened before they kind of launched the last 60 satellites. So, no fucks given. There's going to be a cluster of fucking satellites out there which are going to make people think that there's a line of UFOs going over their home. Yeah. So even if you went back, and it seems like you can't turn that shit around. Like you cannot just like go up to the counter and say, hey, go down with the cheese on that. I didn't ask for you for cheese. Can you put a little more meat on it? It's not instantaneous. It's not grab and go shit. You can't Uber this motherfucker. You can't. So I'm sure Elon and SpaceX has like about another 300 fucking satellites that are all painted in white. So what does he do now? When does Elon go back and say, "Hey, let's paint them, take them to the chop shop and get them painted up real nice," because we don't want to reflect because it's driving people fucking bananas. Yeah, it is. It is. Elon, apparently, for some folks in New Zealand, they might see a long line of lights which are traveling really fast in the night sky in the next couple of weeks. But, what he's saying is, hey, don't worry. Don't worry about a thing because it's not fucking UFOs. There isn't a line of 100 or some UFOs coming down on New Zealand. No, ma'am and sir. It's Elon and his satellites. Broadband. And here's the worst thing. You're going to get yourself scared as fuck because you have an armada of UFO coming over your New Zealand home and you can't get shit for broadband just for your scare, just for your time. Because you can't even access the Starlinks yet. And if you are worried about the 100 or so Starlink satellites that are flying over your house in New Zealand, guess what? There's going to be about 12,000 of them bitches. Then what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Can we get some access? Can we get a little bit of faster broadband internet? Come on. If you're going to scare us and make us think that aliens are coming after us all over the world, come on, at least give us some fucking broadband. Stop fucking around. There is a picture, and that is a picture for this episode, and it is a picture that was taken from New Zealand of a line of Starlink satellites. But here is something that was really cool in this particular article, which is linked in the description thanks to TVNZ, and that is that there is another link. There is a specific tool. This is really cool for those of you who have used Google Earth in the past. You know how Google Earth uses your location and it has this three-dimensional representation of the planet and where you're at and your town, your city. Other rubber dickers who want to go in there and take pictures, you'll see their pictures and shit no matter where the fuck you are, depending on your vicinity. Google Earth, I guess, I don't know. It's like open source sometimes, I think. But they, apparently this particular tool, it tracks the Starlink satellites. And you can actually, depending on where you are, where your location is on the blue planet, it would actually tell you how far you are and when you can actually see the Starlinks flying over by. Yeah. When you can see the long-ass string of fucking satellites that are bright as fuck, compared to everything else. Because I've never heard anyone complain of, the TESS satellite. Yeah, that TESS space telescope. No one's ever complained that they see it. But I guess if you had, 100 of those things, fuck, you'd probably complain too. Because those things are not small. They're way bigger than the Starlink satellites. So I guess they would kind of have the same dealio going on. Or if we had 100 fucking ISSs out there. Which apparently it might happen. We might see Igor Echerbelly's Asgardia deal sitting up there one day, bright as hell. But, right now, how can he put it up there with all this stuff that Elon's going to throw into low orbit? I don't know. But check it out. The tool is pretty cool because I actually looked at it and you can tell basically from where you're located, what part of the sky you need to look at so that you can set your peepers or your telescope or whatever the fuck you're using in order to see the Starlink satellites go by. Amazing. I can't wait to see this tool, and hopefully it's operational, but I can't wait to see this tool when there is, let's say, like 600 fucking satellites up there just fucking with our heads. And then how many people will report UFOs? This is going to increase UFOs. Now, right now, the satellites are all running in like one straight line, but you're not going to get full coverage over the entire planet by running 4,000, 12,000, whatever satellites in a straight line. They've got to cover the planet. It'll be amazing to see how that looks in this particular application when the time comes when Elon takes over the fucking planet. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. Elon's going to take over the planet. He's going to control planet Earth. He's going to go to Mars and control that planet too. And actually, the article actually kind of talks about the fact that Elon is planning to have Starlink all over Mars as well. So all you other countries who spent all your fucking money, you can't even feed your poor or give them some nice warm homes to live in, good medical coverage, and you've spent all this money to pay Russia to get your shit up into space, or you've crashed a few things on Mars and had like one successful satellite around Mars. Guess what? Your satellite is not going to be worth shit anymore because Elon's going to take another 12,000 Starlinks and cover the planet Mars. And really, that's I think it's a lot more coverage that he needs. So it might be like 40,000 Starlink. Who knows? But I'm sure he's going to shut whatever the fuck you got out there. He's going to shut it down in one way or another. And who the fuck is he offering broadband to on Mars? Where the fuck does he know? The guy that says there ain't shit similar to aliens anywhere. You've got to be kidding me. That is just bananas. By the way, I got to say hello to Dave and Guter. They're right now in the live chat. Welcome aboard, guys. This is the Saturday edition where we talk about crazy stuff. Hey, by the way, let me know what you guys think of that song Juggernaut. I don't know. I kind of like music like that because it kind of like it gets your heart going, makes you feel like a juggernaut. But those are the news for SpaceX. You guys in New Zealand, do not be scared, please. Don't call in a UFO invasion. I promise you it's not. It's just Elon and his toys. There was something else here that was finally, I don't know, kind of connect the dots for me, I want to say. SpaceX and Musk apparently have recently said that the revenue from Starlink broadband network will eventually serve to help them fund their plans to travel to Mars. Fascinating. You know, a lot of times when people talk about articles, especially in the beginning of this Starlink situation, it was all about, you know, getting to those remote areas, helping those less than fortunate people have broadband internet. Because, I mean, come on, if you're like in some really poor country in the middle of the forest and the jungle, how are you going to get your porn? I think that's what this translates into. I don't think that it's going to be so beneficial that's going to help mankind. I think you're just going to have porn everywhere. That's what it's going to come down to. It's going to be poisoning those remote people who really kind of like were not influenced by the dark side of internet, right? By the dark side of what floats all over the web. So let's fuck up their minds too and give them broadband internet. And you know, the thing is, we had to get up with the slow shit, the dial-up, AOL and stuff like that. We're going to take these people who probably could not get access to broadband. We're going to give them full speed shit. We're going to blow their minds away. But it's not for free. A lot of times when people talked about SpaceX and what Elon was doing with Starlink, people misinterpreted this like it was an amazing thing, like he was helping the planet. Those less, you know, unfortunate, the guys that didn't have no technology, that they are sitting on turtles somewhere. Yeah, he's helping them. No. Fuck no, the shit's not free, so stop fucking around. So I don't know. How are they going to pay for shit that they've never experienced before? I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen with Elon and his dreams of having Starlink fund his NASA trip to Mars, because NASA's going to be involved. Don't get that twisted. The government and NASA will be involved in Elon's trip to Mars. I guarantee it. I think it's time for a musical break. Like right now.
So you came here 'cause you wanna be a star. Rolling into town in your daddy's old car. Cruising down the street like a rolling stone. Pretty little boy
It's time once more to talk about the news. The news at UFO Buster Radio. Yes, the shit has hit the fan, and he wasn't even on the shitter. Anyway, I'm talking about Bob Lazar, by the way. There was an article that broke out, I would say about like 3 days ago, right? Because I got the little ping on my handy-dandy phone, and it talked about an update because someone apparently got their little dirty hands, little grubby, greasy hands on the reports from the raid at Bob Lazar's abode. The article reads, Bob Lazar says the FBI raided him to seize Area 51's alien fuel, but the truth is weirder. Yeah, this is kind of weird because it actually broke out. The news of the situation broke out I guess like maybe like a few weeks after that the documentary came out on Netflix, right? So we know Bob Lazar, and let me just recap for you guys just a little bit, just a tiny little bit of Bob Lazar's story. On May 24th, 1989, in a live interview with El Reporter Extraordinaire out in Las Vegas, George Knapp, if you want to Google him, he apparently interviewed Bob. And Bob was in his interview like in a silhouette. Yeah, you've seen those where they hide the voice and all you see is their shadow or whatever because it's bright as fuck behind them. And Bobby used the pseudonym name of Dennis. So it wasn't Bob that was talking to us at that time. It was Dennis Lazar. They never said Lazar. I'm just saying it was Dennis. And basically, Dennis was saying that he was at a part of a section in Area 51 that was called S4. And he worked on recovered extraterrestrial spacecraft for the U.S. government. Now, from that point on, we know the story, right? Because then later on, he comes out, he says, hey, I'm not Dennis, I'm really Bob, and not that the name's any better, but here I am. I worked at S4, I saw some crazy shit, I saw some alien spacecrafts, I saw their drive, I have this material that they used, and they bend fucking space-time around them like an envelope and shit, and then they fly this way, kind of counterintuitive to how we fly, bada bing, bada boom. This story would have been better if Bob Lazar was Italian. You know, Bobby Lazar, hey, you've got some big ones on you for coming out like that. But it's not that much better. Now, here's the thing. We had this documentary, right, by you-know-who, that dude. And if you've seen this documentary, you know that the first maybe freaking 10, 15 minutes, you didn't fucking see Bob Lazar. You didn't. But later on, he comes out of hiding, because Corbell decided at the beginning of this podcast, the beginning of the documentary, another podcast, was going to be about him walking through the desert, trying to find his white whale, like he was fucking Moby Dick. Yeah, Captain Ahab, looking for Moby Dick, a.k.a. Bob Lazar, because he had to figure shit out. So long story short, they get together, they do this documentary, and for many people who were on the fence about Bob Lazar were still on the fence about Bob Lazar, but now they were on the fence about Corbell. It's like, who the fuck is this Corbell guy? What is he, a rock star now in ufology? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. That's how the folks in New York were saying. Get the fuck out of here, Corbell. So it really didn't sell anything for anyone. Now, I talked to a lot of people about the situation. Folks really felt like Bob Lazar's interview with Joe Rogan is where we really saw maybe a genuine side to his story. We saw a man who for, almost 3 fucking decades lived through that situation over and over again, felt regretful that he even said anything. He totally felt like, fuck, I shouldn't have said anything because I wanted to be there. I wanted to stay there with the alien technology and fuck everybody else. I should have kept my mouth shut and I would have known. I would have gained more knowledge. Yeah, that was the saddest part about the entire thing. Like, he basically said, fuck all you guys, especially you fuckers who want to camp out in my front yard because you think I'm some kind of ufology god. No, I wouldn't have told you shit. I would have kept the information all to myself, and I should have shut my mouth, and I should have stayed there and found out what the hell that technology was about. That was the sad part, but that was genuine Bob Lazar. That was the person we didn't see in the documentary, but when he got to Joe Rogan, that's what we saw. But I kind of fell off the track there. By the way, Zach Karaya, welcome. We got a full house right now in the chat box, so there you go. If you guys want to get in on it, Spreaker.com is where you got to go. So what happened recently? Well, during the documentary, it was alluded to that apparently someone had died. Yeah, somebody died. Somebody died. And you're probably thinking, what? Somebody? No, there's no way. This is about Bob Lazar. Nobody died. What are you talking about?
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time.
Yeah, say what one more time, motherfucker. Say it. Say it. Yeah. So somebody died. So the FBI raided Bob Lazar's joint. They raided him. The take that we get from Bob Lazar and Mr. Corbell, Buddy Corbell, is that the reason why Bob Lazar was raided, and just so happens, and this is the only part that really bugs me about the whole thing, is that the part that bugs me is that this raid happened during the documentary. And that is just, I don't know. There's something wrong with that. It almost seems like a setup in some way. But here it is. According to the reports that were released through this particular organization that has the reports from local police and the feds, is that it turns out that some guy by the name of Thomas Rahajala, I'm sorry, you guys in India, I just fucked that up, but don't hate me. I'm the Moonraker. He is a police sergeant detective, and apparently he said that the events leading up to the search of United Nuclear, which is Bob Lazar's company, back in late 2015, was a mysterious death of a 31-year-old named Janelle Struzel, not like the pastry. And apparently the Struzel's death was a poisoning due to thallium toxicity. Now, for you blue-collar folks, you're thinking, so fucking what? What's thallium? It sounds like Valium. No, it's thallium toxicity. And basically, it is a colorless, odorless, and tasteless thallium sulfate. And it has been described as a prisoner's poison due to the substance's high toxicity and difficulty to detect. Well, apparently, motherfuckers, it was not that difficult to detect because they detected this in Janelle's system when they did the autopsy. And then decided who in the flying fuck was she in contact with that also is maybe a proprietor of thallium to the peoples. Somehow United Nuclear Scientific's website and their activities came into their focal point according to records, official records. So they weren't there because they thought Bob Lazar tried to kill somebody. They were there because they were trying to find out if Bob Lazar and his company sold this to folks who are connected to this individual, and therefore it led to her death. That's what it came down to. The funny thing is, and this is where the rubber dicking comes in, Lazar and Cobell publicly are saying that the company was targeted as part of this investigation, not because somebody died. No, God forbid. It was like because somebody died. Are you shitting me? Are you kidding me? It's not because somebody died. It's because he is a... hold on to your hats for this because it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt somebody somewhere. Because apparently he is a reluctant UFO messiah. I'm just going to wait a few minutes for that because I can't... it's even hard for me to digest that, really. UFO messiah? Are you serious? Right now? Come on. Yeah. Now, here's another part of this that's kind of crazy, and we'll just take it right from the article. Corbell says that when he spoke to Lazar, he told him that he didn't believe everyone involved in the raid was aware of his work with alien spacecrafts or Element 115. However, Lazar was explicit in saying at least two mysterious individuals, men in black, that were part of the raid were absolutely concerned with his past and knew of Corbell's conversations. What in the flying fuck? How did that happen? According to Lazar, they asked to go upstairs with me and commented on the location of the 115 and Jeremy. I mean, there are curveballs all over this. How in the flying fuck do you get this? How do you... I don't understand. I don't understand. The article is trying to say, hey, Bob Lazar was being investigated, but not directly because he is not being named as this as a... I don't know, someone of interest? Like maybe he did this himself? No, they're just trying to figure out, according to this, where this thallium came from. So where? Well, why not? Let's go over to Bob Lazar. Let's see what he's got to say. Zachariah says, what would it be used for? Apparently this is used a lot in electronics. So... your computer, your phone right now could probably kill you, I guess. I don't know. Not exactly sure. All it says, the article says, it's just electronics. Who knows? Who knows? Dave says, muscovium is a synthetic chemical element which, with the symbol MC in the atomic number 115, it was synthesized in 2003 by a joint team of Russian and American scientists at the Joint Institute of Nuclear Research in Dubna, Russia. The thing is that back when Lazar says he was dealing with 115, I think it was called Up in Pentium. Yeah, so 2003 kind of was way later on, and I think it wasn't until 05 or 15 or something like that before it actually made it into the periodic table. But the problem is this. Even in this story, we're being rubber-dicked 2 ways to Sunday, which is like an hour and a half away. So we still, even this article, we don't understand what the heck's going on. Was this some kind of publicity stunt? Was there really a search for element 115? And at this point, if science and scientists are able to synthesize 115 isotopes or whatever the fuck they are, why would they need what Lazar had in his possession? Because according to him, it really wasn't that much, right? He had a very small amount. So why would they need to raid him almost 3 decades later to get back element 1? What do they think he's like freaking figured out a way to use it? No. I don't think so. I don't think that's what it is. So the story is just whacked out. I mean, I don't even know what to do with this anymore. You know, after the Joe Rogan interview, I thought he was great. I'm cool. I like this guy. But this thing, this disclosure about why they raided Bob Lazar is fucking bananas. It really is. And the fact that one camp says we're investigating a murder, the other camp says, oh, it's because we have the Messiah of ufology here. Get the fuck out of here. I don't think so. The article is linked in the description. Check it out. There's a lot more to it. There's some crazy timelines that they talk about in this particular article. Something to read. But most of you, I think, at this point, you guys are so well versed on the Bob Lazar story. You're probably looking over the porcelain throne, trying to gag yourself, because you've just about had it. Zechariah made an interesting observation, which is something that a lot of people, actually, and it was Dave. There's a lot of people who missed that point, and that is that Dennis, Daniel, Bob, Robert, whatever the fuck his name was at the point that he made the claims initially, was that he called out element 115 way before science was able to stabilize it enough to say that they could synthesize it. Many decades before it actually happened. Now, what can you do? Can you really explain that? Does it mean anything to anyone that he had this information way before people were able to stabilize this in a way that they could say, hey, it's a real element. Let's put it on the periodic table. Bada bing, bada boom. You can't. These are the odd things that happen with this Bob Lazar story. Like some things can be clear as mud, but the rest of it gets so muddy and so distracting that sometimes you feel like all of it is bullshit, and then sometimes you feel like though you want to accept what he's saying as face value, as face value, it's hard to accept everything that he's saying. But if you look at the timeline of his claims and how things worked out, why wouldn't you believe Bob Lazar? That is the hard part about Bob Lazar's story. And then you go in and you kind of pair him up with folks like Corbell, and you're like, shit, at times it becomes a little iffy. If Bob Lazar really spent some time, especially now, he really took some time to get his story out, solidify it, maybe he'd be more believable like he was on Joe Rogan's story. But take heart, because To the Stars Academy and Tom DeLonge Short is actually putting together a book so that you can read about the shit you've been hearing about for like 3 fucking decades. Like, why not? Gooder says, was in the UFOs that he worked on in Area 51. According to him, it was S4, and there were more than one shape. So it wasn't like your usual sombrero-looking UFO. He said there was a couple there of different shapes, but what he really focused on was the science of it. Bob Lazar, in many ways, and if you look at the fact that he has a company that deals with chemicals and science and supplying folks for chemicals, elements, and things like that, there's no doubt that the guy loves science. So his interest was really about trying to figure out, how does it work? How does it work? That is his interest when it comes to UFOs, and that's why he pretty much said, I really would have loved to not say a word if I could go back in time, keep my mouth shut, because I really wanted to know the science behind what was happening and learn some more. Gooder says, sorry, I'm driving. I meant maybe he found the element while working on UFOs, and that is absolutely correct. Element 115 up in Pentium, he found it while working on these UFOs, according to his story. And basically, he held that to be the real thing. The rumor is, especially around him, because he gets a little skittish when they talk about him taking element 115, that he has some. And that's what the claim is, that he still to this day has element 115 stored somewhere. But will we ever know? There was a part in the interview where it seemed like he would reveal whether or not he had element 115 stored at his place of business, at his home, or whatever. But here's the thing. He's already told us he does. No one who doesn't have anything stored that people are looking for is going to hem and haw about it and act like there's a big secret somewhere. Bob Lazar is rubber dicking us. Yeah, he's got it. Just fucking say you got it. Just say it. It's too late now. People can synthesize this, right? They can make it. It's an element on the periodic table. Just fucking say you got it. Who cares? I mean, if the government comes after you now, almost 30 years later, because you stole some 115, who gives a flying fuck? The statute of limitations is over. Come on, stop being a bitch about it. That's just my take on it. Gutter says Musk needs to get his hands on element 115 to conquer the world. Musk, I'm going to say this, man. Musk is conquering the world already. That is the truth. Who else is covering the entire planet in fucking satellites? No one. Absolutely no one. And it just happens to be the same fucking guy who's going to Mars. Yeah, he's already conquered the planet. He's conquered things way before he's even at that state. Musk has already conquered the planet. He's a juggernaut. He's the juggernaut right now. He's rolling over everyone. This is Manny Moonraker. That's the end of our episode for today. But you know what? I'm going to dedicate Juggernaut not just to Samuel L. Jackson, but also to Elon Musk, because that dude is a juggernaut. He's running over everyone. And Dave says, Pinky in the Brain. Yeah, that's right, Brain. What are we going to be doing tomorrow night? We're going to take over the world, Pinky. That's what we're going to do.